Welcome to the channel. Today we tackle a high-stakes question. Should you use a 401k loan at around 9% to wipe out credit card balances charging up to 18%? At first glance, the math looks tempting. However, as we will see, that move often fixes a symptom, but not the disease. As we transition into the agenda, keep this core warning in mind. Do not borrow from your future to pay for your past. Here's our roadmap. First, we will state the core dilemma. Next, we will add a brief disclaimer so you can use this information responsibly. Then, we will explain why the 401k loan seems like a smart move on the surface, before uncovering the hidden risks that make it dangerous. After that, we will quantify the opportunity cost, so you can feel what future growth you might be giving up. Then we will walk through simple numbers, followed by a step-by-step better plan. To make it visual, we will map timelines and flows. Finally, we will test your understanding with 2 quick quizzes and wrap up with key takeaways and an action plan. Before we dive in, this is educational content, not personalized financial advice. Your situation is unique. Therefore, consult a qualified fiduciary financial advisor and your plan administrator before making any decision regarding retirement accounts, loans, or transfers. With that context set, let us turn to why the 401k loan is so tempting. The appeal is obvious. If you have $23,500 in credit card debt at 18%, and you can replace that with a 9% 401k loan, it looks like instant relief. Lower interest, lower payment, and the feeling of a fresh start. However, as we move forward, remember that lower interest does not change behavior, and behavior is often the driver of repeated debt cycles. On paper, swapping 18% for 9% looks like a clear victory. For example, you may see the monthly payment drop and feel immediate breathing room. In addition, the psychological benefit of a zero balance on the cards feels like a fresh start. But as the flowchart shows, if spending discipline is not genuinely fixed, the risk of reaccumulating balances is high. Moreover, even if discipline is improved, you are still exposed to job loss clauses and the opportunity cost of removing money from the market. Consequently, we should examine the hidden risks. There are 4 major risks. First, opportunity cost. The dollars you pull from your 401k stop compounding, potentially costing you a large future balance. Second, job separation. If you leave or lose your job, the loan is usually due at once. Third, if you cannot repay promptly, the outstanding balance is treated as a distribution, taxed as income, and often hit with a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Fourth, if you have not corrected overspending, the credit cards may be run up again, leaving you with both a loan against retirement and new balances. Now let us quantify the opportunity cost so it is tangible. To make opportunity cost concrete, consider leaving $23,500 invested for 20 years at 7%. That grows to roughly $90,000. If you project 10% for 25 years, the growth factor is about 10.8 times, or approximately $254,000. The pie diagram illustrates the imbalance. The short-term relief is modest compared to the potential long-term growth lost. With that in mind, let us look at the job separation trap. If you separate from your employer with a loan outstanding, it is usually due immediately. If you cannot pay it, the amount becomes a taxable distribution. For example, a $20,000 unpaid balance in the 22% tax bracket triggers about $4,400 of federal tax, plus a $2,000 early withdrawal penalty, totaling approximately $6,400. In effect, you traded credit card interest for a tax crisis. Next, let us make the monthly numbers relatable. Here are approximate numbers. With 18% cards and a $700 payment, it takes about 47 months, costing roughly $9,400 in interest. A 9% 401k loan over 60 months runs about $487 per month, with around $5,700 in interest, but carries the risks we covered and loses market growth. A 0% balance transfer with a 3% fee costs about $700 in fees. To finish within the 18-month promo, you would target roughly $1,360 per month. If you can only manage $700, you still reduce cost compared to leaving balances at 18%, especially when combined with an avalanche approach. Now that the numbers are grounded, let us build the better plan, step by step. Follow these steps. First, Build a zero-based budget that assigns every dollar a purpose. Second, freeze new discretionary spending by using cash or debit until balances are gone. Third, reduce interest via a 0% balance transfer or a low APR consolidation loan that does not touch retirement funds. Fourth, use the avalanche method. Pay minimums on all accounts and funnel every extra dollar to the highest rate balance. Fifth, temporarily pause any non-matching retirement contributions and redirect that cash flow to debt until it is cleared. Sixth, automate payments and align due dates to avoid late fees and failures. Seventh, boost income through overtime, side gigs, selling items, and negotiating recurring bills. Eighth, create a small emergency buffer so unexpected expenses do not send you back to the cards. Next, let us visualize the path with a simple timeline. This timeline depicts the journey. In months 0 to 1, you create a zero-based budget and freeze new credit use. In months 1 to 2, you open a 0% balance transfer if you qualify, move balances, and set autopay. From months 2 to 18, you attack the highest interest balance first with every extra dollar, while adding income where possible. From months 18 to 24, you finish remaining balances, grow an emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of expenses, and resume or increase retirement contributions. With the map in mind, let us also detail the budget in a simple markdown layout you can copy. Here is a markdown style template you can copy. Start by listing monthly income sources and the total. Next, add fixed expenses such as housing, utilities, insurance, and transportation. Then, define variable envelope categories like groceries, fuel, medical, and discretionary. After that, write down total minimum payments and the avalanche target, which is the extra amount directed to the highest rate balance. Turn on automation for both minimums and the avalanche payment. For savings guardrails, maintain a small starter emergency fund and, during the payoff phase, pause any non-matching retirement contributions while keeping the employer match if available. Finally, conduct a weekly check-in to adjust envelopes and recommit to avoiding new debt. Now let us see a high-level comparison between a 401k loan and the better plan. On the left, the 401k loan lowers interest and monthly payments today but introduces job separation risk, tax and penalty risk, and the loss of market compounding. It also fails to address overspending, which can refill cards. On the right, the better plan preserves retirement assets, uses 0% promotions or low APR options, and applies avalanche to eliminate the most expensive balances first. It enforces a budget to prevent relapse and relies on temporary sacrifices to build permanent habits. Consequently, the right side is more sustainable and less risky. Quiz time. What is the biggest hidden cost when borrowing from your 401k to pay credit cards? Option A, the loan interest you pay to yourself. Option B, the opportunity cost of lost market compounding. Option C, the 401k loan origination fee. Or Option D, the credit card annual fees. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B, the opportunity cost of lost market compounding. When funds are removed from the market, they stop growing, and over time that lost growth can be extremely large compared to the short-term interest savings. Second quiz. If you leave your job with a 401k loan outstanding and cannot repay immediately, what typically happens? Option A, nothing changes, and you keep paying monthly. Option B, your employer forgives the loan. Option C, the balance is treated as a taxable distribution plus a potential 10% penalty. Or Option D, your interest rate drops to 0%. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. If you separate from your employer and cannot repay the outstanding balance promptly, the loan is typically treated as a taxable distribution and may incur a 10% early withdrawal penalty, creating an avoidable tax liability. In the next 7 days, draft your zero-based budget and freeze discretionary spending. Then, check your credit and pre-qualify for a 0% balance transfer if you can maintain spending discipline. List all debts by annual percentage rate and balance, automate minimums, align due dates, and select your avalanche target and extra payment amount. Finally, create a simple side income plan and sell a few items to build momentum. As you implement, keep the discipline guardrails in place to avoid reaccumulating debt. Here are the key points. Do not borrow from your future to pay for your past. While a 401k loan may reduce interest, it introduces significant risks and sacrifices long-term growth. Fix the root cause through budgeting, discipline, and automation. Use 0% transfers and the avalanche method to reduce interest without endangering retirement assets. Temporarily pause non-matching retirement contributions while keeping any employer match. Build a small emergency fund to avoid falling back into debt. To conclude, regard 401k loans as a last resort, because the compounding you surrender and the risks you assume are typically not worth the short-term relief. Behavior change, enforced by a zero-based budget and automation, beats interest rate swaps every time. Adopt the better plan and protect your retirement while eliminating debt methodically. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, please like the video, share it with someone who needs a plan, and subscribe for weekly content on building financial stability. In the comments, share your first action step this week and what guardrail you will use to prevent new debt. See you in the next one.